asking, insisting about all kind of marriages that should be legally allowed. What leaves me totally indifferent. I don't mind people of other sexual orientation living together and let them call it one kind of contract or another. But I have my own private idea as an artist. The real problem are not homosexuals, who are very few in the society. Why does not society, it will be a nonsense now, why does not society allow people to have a contract with themselves? So many people are so egoistic that they love themselves only. Let them make a contract and avoid taxes, as long as they love themselves only and nobody else. The same with euthanasia, which is one of these frivolous concepts that if nothing is sacred, why life should be sacred? It is not sacred. If it is not sacred, it may be taken away. We have great thinkers like Australian philosopher Mr. Singer, who keeps saying that people who are mentally defected should be treated as animals, not as humans, because there is nothing human. Strange that after experience of Nazi, still this idea is re-emerging. I'm usually trying to ridiculize it, saying, euthanasia, if so, why, first let us start with abortion. Why abortion only allowed till 12th week? Let us allow abortion up to the 9th month, because there is no major difference. And after 9 months, why this limit? Isn't it more logical to say that abortion is allowed up to 18 years old, and then euthanasia is a natural consequence? So if you don't kill your children have right to kill you, and that would be a real logical construction. These popular debates are usually based on some vacuum of values and on total misunderstanding, and they are taken seriously. So I try to ridiculize it and say, no, this is not serious. But from another hand, I see that Christianity in Europe is shrinking, is less present in public life, and in our Pontifical Commission for Culture, Cardinal of Westminster brought this very intelligent idea that Christians should, once we become minoritarians in culture, we should treat it as an anti-culture. We should go as all other anti-cultures go. Be in minority and consider yourself a minority and consider yourself a seed in a hostile environment, hoping that something will grow. I wonder why such an amazing suggestion that John Paul II left in one of his less known documents, letter he directed to the director of the Pontifical Astronomical Observatory, Specola di Vaticano. In this letter, from the late 90s, just before Fides and Ratio, John Paul II suggested that if in times of Thomas Aquinas, theology was using all the instrumentarium, all the instruments of contemporary science, why theologians today ignore totally what modern physics and mathematics is offering? To what extent these models that mathematics and physics is offering could be helpful to understand the gospel, which was formulated in the language of 2,000 years ago. If you think about matrix, if you think about parallel universe, if you think about the theory of strings, you know that the eternal life, contact with the dead, purgatory, all these concepts may be seen in a more convincing light. And only that, because it is not an explanation. No science will ever explain the message of the Bible. but it can be used to make our fantasy work in a more modern way. I strongly deplore that we don't do it enough. There are very few theologians who are aware what contemporary science is building. And, well, time to conclude. I hope very much that mass audience, with its low culture, will create some new avant-garde or new elite. We don't like the word elite because it has bad connotations, incorrectly. But at the same time, if Christianity shrinks, I have this vision. I've been lecturing recently in China, and I've seen these audiences of Chinese students, and I've heard their questions, and I know they are bound to win in a short or even in a long term. They are growing so fast, they are learning so hard, they are working so hard, they are fighting so hard to have better life, that compared to the lazy Europeans and Americans nowadays, comparing to the families that don't want to have children, they are bound to win. In fact, talking to the rector of one of the Cantonese universities, I tried to have at least one consolation. So I asked him, how is it with the capacity of inventing? Don't you think that we Europeans may be of some use in future? Oh, he says, absolutely. Because we, with our heritage of Confucianism and tradition, we are not inventive at all. He said, in my experience, said the rector, when I have 10 European students, one of them is able to invent something. When I have in China 100 students, one of them only will invent something. But when we look at the numbers, we are more than 100, more than you. So we will have more inventions in the last few years than you have in old Europe and America together. That scared me a lot. And then I realized that maybe the next generation, our grandchildren, hope maybe grand-grandchildren, will all migrate to China, hoping that they will be allowed to be babysitters and clean some apartments. It won't be easy because Chinese don't like our scent. Unfortunately, we smell bad to the Asians. But if they tolerate that, we will have little jobs, and maybe like 12 apostles, the only mission we will have will be to bring Christianity to China and give them a chance to develop into more rich and creative society. That would be my strong wish. And I think the watch has rang, so I think it is time for me to conclude. I think it is expected that we will have questions, so of course I'm ready to answer if I didn't bore you to such extent that there will be no question whatsoever.